Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another unboxing for Happy Little Dinosaurs Hazard Head, the 5 to 6 player expansion pack from Unstable Games. There was already a previous 5 to 6 player expansion which added 2 more boards, 2 more dinosaurs to play as. This is just going to be an alternative. You can definitely switch out this one with the other one. If you own the base game, you have 2 different options. If you pick up all of them, all the Kickstarter stuff, you can go ahead and mix everything together. Just realizing that it's going to make a really big deck of cards. So you may end up wanting, if you start adding too many of these expansions together, you might want to just cut down the number of cards. Maybe take time to sort out like the different types and then be like, okay, so I have, so many like 10 or whatever of one disaster type, 10 of another disaster type, 10 of a third type, 10 of these types of cards, and then just so you have one smaller deck, but you're utilizing a combination of all the sets. That being said, so what is really cool about this set is besides adding 2 more dinosaurs with new boards to use, it's also going to add a brand new mechanic to the game, the hazard cards, which add an extra hazard tokens and an extra hazard deck. And now these guys are going to have little hazard symbols, so they're actually so if you play with these guys, you're going to have these guys, or the cards from the set, you'll have to use a hazard deck and hazard rules, which come with it. So it's kind of neat. It adds new mechanics. It's more of the same stuff, but there's an additional stuff you'll have to use if you do it. So let's pop in here. It actually has a brand new card type as well besides the hazard one, which is really fun. We'll get into that when we get there. So before we even look at the rules or that, let's just look at our player boards and stuff quick. So first up, we have our brand new one. We have the Moody Monosaurus, which is going to have, here's a little Monosaurus token there. So he's got +1 for a hazard or -1 for emotionals. And then we flip his board open, of course. A big underwater sea. Otherwise, it's going to look like all the rest of the boards. Nothing different otherwise there. There's the back of it. And then the second new one we got is Easygoing Anki, which gets a +1 for that, -1 for environmental. So that's what it is. Now there's not one for predatory. So I wonder if maybe they'll make another expansion which will keep using these hazard cards, and they'll give a guy that has that as an ability. But yeah, then his is a tar pit. He's standing in a tar pit. So there we go. And then there's his little orange meeple. Alright, then the next thing we're going to get for component are these 12 hazard cones. So these will play parts in the game. So we're going to go ahead and look at the rules before we jump into the cards to see what they do. Alright, and I knocked everything over. Alright, so there's all the stuff that's in the box. How to start. Introduces new card types. Hazard cards and lucky day cards and hazard tokens. So, setup is like normal. Just add your disaster card to the disaster deck, your main deck cards to the main deck cards like normal. But you will have a separate pile of hazard deck cards and remaining tokens. The other thing is each player then will take one of the tokens and puts them on spot number 20 on their board. So you're going to inevitably run into one of these hazards. And that's, just so that way there's no way of getting around that. What do hazard cards and tokens do? Hazard tokens feature a cone symbol and are added 5 spaces in front of a dinosaur's meeple on their escape route. When a player's dinosaur meeple reaches a space with a hazard token, that player must add the top card from the hazard deck face up to their area. A few things to remember about hazard tokens. You cannot add a hazard token to a space that already has a hazard token on it. And you cannot add an additional hazard token to a player's escape route if they already have 2. So there are 12 tokens. There are a total of 6 players in the up to 6 players expansion. So that means each player starts with 1. Each one can gain 1 more. So unless there's some way to remove them and keep adding them, which I haven't went through all the cards to be sure on that, that means pretty much each player can get 1 extra added. So you're not going to... you aren't going to end up with more than 2 ever. But you might go backwards and hit them again, or again, someone might remove one and add one later. Because it does say, hazard cards have a black back and feature an effect that gives players a disadvantage throughout the game, so they get an ongoing effect. Like disaster cards usually hit and do one thing and then they're done. These stay out and do constant stuff. Says, note, while you cannot have 2 or more hazard tokens on your escape route at a time, you may have any number of hazard cards. So yeah, if like, let's say I hit spot 20, I draw a card, I move up space 25, someone moves me back 5 spaces, I might have to do it again. So yeah, that's kind of interesting there. Then the other new card type are Lucky Day cards. They give you a break from the usual disasters that plague you. A Lucky Day card takes place of a disaster card for the round. If you're the player at the lowest score in the round and would add the Lucky Day card to your disaster area, you get to use its effect before moving it to the bottom of the disaster deck. So basically, you're drawing a disaster, but instead of getting a negative effect and it hurting you towards losing the game, you get a bonus and then you don't have to add a disaster. So they're just kind of like little escapes. Remember, there are 2 ways to win the game: be the first dinosaur to reach 50 points in your stable, or be the last dinosaur. If you lose the game, stay positive. If you lose the game, stay positive. Maybe next time you wish on a shooting star, it won't turn out to be a fiery meteor. So that's pretty much how that works. There's not too much else. The rules are going to explain everything. So we're going to just go ahead and hop into the cards and see what we got. Oh, I gotta find a better stand for that. Alright, I have mine all sleeved. In this sleeves, I bought a brand new pack. So if you buy them currently in the store, you'll get sleeves for all 3 types of cards: the regular, or the disasters, the main deck, and then now the new hazard cards. There'll be enough for 1 pack to cover the entire expansion. That being said, the back colors are different than the original set. So this is a new back, this is an old back. So they are going to be different back colors. But with that also being noted, the card backs are different as well. So original looks almost like the new card back, but the new ones are more pinker. So either way, you're not going to have cards that match unless for some reason you bought a ton. Unless you buy a ton of, either you had a bunch of old ones that you bought an extra for future expansions, or if you just started sleeving your cards and you buy enough to cover everything. But if you bought some from the first, some from the last, or you don't sleeve, you're going to have different card backs. Is that big of a deal? Not really. You're going to maybe know what set it's from, but being the fact is there's, like 30-some or 20-some cards or 30-some cards you're adding, okay, you're going to know that's from that set, but you don't know what card it is. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But if you're a stickler for having everything match, there's your options. Is either hope to have enough for the old ones for all future expansions, or you have to rebuy or purchase all the new ones. Alright, so we're going to so again, the sleeves do not come in this box. I purchased them separately from the store just to make sure we're clarified on that. Alright, so our first card up is, I'm going to do this and zoom it a little bit. Don't trip. When you add this card to the disaster, you add this disaster to your disaster area, you may add a hazard token to any other player's escape route. Now this goes 5 in front of them, so they're going to hit it sooner than later. And the only time it's going to be ignored is if they're on 15, potentially, because you can't put one on 20 if they're already there. Alright, we have another Predator. They're going to have a little safety cone symbol on there. To-go meal. Add just your disaster area. You may add a hazard token to another player's escape route. Bigfoot's Revenge. Add a hazard token to another player's escape route. So they're going to basically do the same thing, just all of these are perpetuating that pyramid scheme. Add another hazard to a player's escape route, and Red Carpet Regret. So all these look like they're probably going to do the same thing. They're just going to play off that new hazard token, so the big draw is the new deck. But that's good, because if they only included 1 or 2 cards that added them ways to add hazard tokens, again, if you included them into the deck, you might never come across them. It's definitely fun. Then we have Hot Spring, so I'm not going to reread all these because we're going to say the same effect. Not So Fun Guy. Sinking Feeling. Spoiled Rotten. And our last environmental is Crabification, which is the weirdest one. A velociraptor turning into a crab. Alright, then the emotionals is we have Emo Phase. Free samples with our new Monosaurus. Incoming Call. Throws the phone. Search History Shame. And Bad Plant Parent. So those are all the new disasters. They all have the same effect, but they're going to work with the hazards. So we'll definitely have to see what all these hazards do next. We'll jump into those next. We'll skip over the main deck cards for a moment. But we have more disaster cards yet. We have 3 copies of Coming in Hot, which is our multicolored one. When you add this disaster to your disaster, you may add a hazard token to another player's escape route. So it's just more of it. It's just the multicolored one, so you'll hit more often. Then the last 4 cards we have are the new Lucky Day cards. These cards work just like Disaster. Or they're in the Disaster deck. But it says, if you would add this card to your Disaster area, move it to the bottom of the Disaster deck instead. Then look at the top 2 cards of the deck, choose a card and add it to your hand, discard the other. So basically, yeah, instead of taking a Disaster, you get a choice of one of 2 cards. So that's not bad. We have Treasure Trove. So you move it to the bottom of the Disaster deck. Search the discard pile for a point card, add it to your hand. Nice, you get a point card. Those are very helpful. Wishful Thinking. So move it to the bottom of the deck. Then choose a player. Move that player's dinosaur meeple back 3 spaces on their escape route. So this could definitely help someone hurt or help someone. It's kind of a neat idea because you could maybe make them have to run over another hazard or just put someone back a couple of spaces if they're farther ahead of you. You could also potentially use it on yourself. You can move potentially 3 spaces, and you are, 3 spaces away from a hazard. You can move yourself back 3 spaces. And then now you can move forward. You don't have to worry about hitting that. It's just kind of interesting. And then the last one is One of Us. Put it on the bottom of the deck. Then move a hazard card from your hazard area to another player's hazard area. So the rock guy is kind of hanging out with them. So the Lucky Day cards are really neat. There's only 4 of them, so you're not going to get them that often. There are more of them. I will talk about those at the end of the video, though, because they're from a different set. So if you like these, there are going to be more, so stay tuned to the end of the video to see where those are. Alright, let's look at the hazard cards. They're going to have the black backs with the little cones. Even the regular versions will have those. So it's the same back on there. And these guys are going to say, we have Up in Flames. You have a special border so you can tell them apart really quickly. If this is in your hazard area, subtract 1 point from your score for each hazard card in your hazard area during scoring. So the more hazard you get, the worse your score is going to be. Icy Road. If this card is in your hazard area, you cannot play disaster insurance cards during scoring. Now there's going to be, I think, a bunch that are going to do this stuff, which allow you to stop doing stuff during scoring. Slippery Slope. If this card is in your hazard area, each round after scores have been calculated, move your meeple backwards 1 space on your escape route. Ollie Oops. If this card is in your hazard area, subtract 2 from the value point of cards you played during sudden death. Leechy Keen. If this card is in your hazard area, you cannot play more than 1 instant per round. Juice Cleanse. If this card is in your hazard area, ignore advantages from your dinosaur trait during scoring. Rex Marks the Spot. If this card is in your hazard area, subtract 1 point from your score for each instant card you played during scoring. Rock Slide. If this card is in your hazard area, double the disadvantages from your dinosaur trait during scoring. Whoops. I had a hazard of my own. Brittle Bones. If this card is in your hazard area, you may only to 7 points at the end of the round. Live, Laugh, Lava. This card is in your hazard area. The effects of your score sapper and score booster cards are halved. Tarnished Plans. This score is in your hazard area. You cannot play score boosters during your scoring. And finally, we have Restraining Order. If this card is in your hazard area, you cannot play score sapper during your scoring. So I really like these cards. They're gonna mess with your stuff, kind of maybe adjust what you have to do. As of now, there's no way. I don't see any way of getting rid of these. We'll see if the points cards have ways to do that. But yeah, even if you can't, it's gonna make the game a little bit more challenging because instead of always going up and up and up, one guy could get, everyone's going to hit at least one disaster no matter what. You're going to hit one at level 20. So everyone's going to have a different effect. It's going to immediately change how they have to play the game. Unfortunately, that could mean one person doesn't get to use, score sapper cards anymore. And that could basically make their game a lot harder versus someone else that just loses 1 point for every hazard they have, right? So it could be, ups and downs here or there. It's not always necessarily even or fair, but that's kind of the way this game works. You could get just big drawing and getting different stuff. Yeah, there's only one of each card, which is kind of nice because that way you get a variety. I could potentially see if they made another expansion, they could add some other different stuff to these as well. But I could also see what would be interesting to do is maybe even buy if you have all the expansions. And so now you actually have 6, 7, 8 different characters, meeples and boards. You want to play an 8-player game. I could see potentially even if you're playing this game enough, buying a second expansion of this game. So you have more of these, so you have more duplicates so that everyone can get a duplicate effect. And then maybe just say, if you draw this card you already have, discard it, draw a new one. So no one has a duplicate of the same card. But then that way more people have access to getting the same effects, which could be interesting. Even in a 6-player game, that could be interesting because it's a side deck. Plus, you have more of them cards that make people draw them. Plus 12 more tokens to use as well. Alright, so let's look at our last bunch of cards, which are the points cards. So we have 2 copies of Spiky Shroom. If you have the lowest score this round, at the end of the scoring, you may add a hazard token to another player's escape route. So we're going to have more stuff like that. 2 copies of A Bone to Flick. Those are eggs, not bones. Discard up to 3 cards and add a hazard token to another player's escape route. 2 copies of Rock Candy, which is our 4 costs. We're going to get 1 for each point level. Or 2 for each point level, looks like. During scoring this round, add 2 points to your score area for each hazard card in your hazard area. So there's a bonus to getting those. Love this one. 2 copies of Molotov Crocktail. You may remove a hazard card from your hazard area. So there is a way to remove it. Not a lot, but a way. 2 copies of Suck It Up. If you have the lowest score in this round at the end of the round, you may remove a hazard token from your escape route. So this lets you remove a token, which doesn't happen very much. 2 copies of Coconut Bolas. If you have the highest score at the end of the round, you may add a hazard token to another player's escape route. And 2 copies of Epic Flail. You cannot play instant cards this round. Then finally, we have 2 instances of Hazard Redirect. Play this card if you would add a hazard token to your escape route. Add the hazard token to another player's escape route. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff there. So the only thing I don't see in the rules that really makes me wonder, because it says with the hazard tokens, because you only have 6 extra. Just again, 1 for each player. Each player can only have 2. But I wonder is if you cross one, are you supposed to remove it? So that's available. Because there's a lot of cards in here that let you add extra tokens. So ideally saying like, if you add this thing and you get a bunch of these cards, that let you add more tokens to everyone else's boards. If they can only have 2, then after somebody has 2, which they start with 1, so after each player gets 1 more token, that makes all the rest of these cards essentially useless. And the disasters aren't really that bad because of the effect doesn't happen. So I kind of wonder if after you cross over a hazard, if you're supposed to remove it from the board, then that way it's available to get used again and again and again. Because you could hit some before 20 if people are drawing the right cards, and then you'll hit some. I wonder if that's supposed to be the intent and they just didn't say it. All right, so that's what we have for Happy Little Dinosaurs Hazard Ahead expansion. So yeah, if you want some brand new characters to play as, some new card types, definitely you can do that. You don't even have to play with these two guys if you don't want to. You can mix the other cards in there. You could take out certain cards, just some that you'll have interesting effects that don't have the hazard tokens. If you don't want to use the hazard tokens, just the Lucky Day cards, the Flail card, some of them. Mix and match, make your own game. So I did say there were more Lucky Day cards. So I did another video. I'll put the link in the description for it. It is for Happy Little Dinosaurs Vinyl Mini Series. So you are going to get, in these boxes, a chance to get one of the meeples the miniatures that match the meeples for each of the 8 different characters that are currently available, plus 2 mystery ones, which I'm not going to tell you. You can see the pictures and probably decipher what they are, but you can watch the video to see them. But they also include, each one has an extra promo card that's a new Lucky Day card. So you'll get a new Lucky Day, so you can get up to 10 brand new Lucky Day cards. The only thing that sucks about these cards is they are a different card type. They're different, they're a different, style. So you really have to sleeve these, otherwise they're going to stand out very much in your deck, because they're very shiny, and a little diamond promo. But if you get extra sleeves now, it's, again, the unfortunate thing is you bought the pack for this expansion, there's not enough sleeves left over to sleeve these. You almost have to buy another extra expansion, or a pack of sleeves for these. But that's really awesome. You can get 12 more of these, or if you don't buy this expansion, it's a way to get the Lucky Day cards. I think having 16 of these in a deck, like a full deck, especially the expansions, would really make it fun, because then you have a lot more chance of drawing these and then giving more relief, which will make the game go on a little bit longer. Maybe not make it, as intense. So that's definitely cool. Alright, so check out that video. That's what I have for this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys later. Bye.